Here we go. Good morning, Uzma. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Kate? I'm so excited. I love our recording days. So let's start off with a regular. How was your morning?
Oh, my morning was pretty good, actually. Um, yeah, do you know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Sometimes you get up and like I walk my dogs every morning and things just seem different outside to me in a good way. I felt like I was more perceptive of what was going on outside. We live like on a golf course and there's like thousands of geese that fly around and I noticed yesterday afternoon in the throngs of all these geese, there were little pockets of like 5 or 6 ducks flying with them. And then on the golf course yesterday afternoon, when I was walking by in the thousands of geese, there were 4 snow geese.
Oh,
So
wow.
4 white geese in the midst of all these Canadian geese, eh? Um, yeah, so it was just kind of interesting. I just love this time of year. How was your morning?
Oh, my morning was great, but I just want to say that's so observant, because people just walk by and just say, oh, the birds. Nobody notices the different colors or the gatherings. So that's really cool that you're
Yeah.
so observant. My morning, I don't know how to describe my morning. It's been like good and bad. Like I went to bed last night and I had that sleep where you close your eyes and you wake up in the morning and nothing disturbs you, that flat sleep. And you
Yes.
wake up and you're just like, oh, this is so amazing. But then I've been delayed all morning. I'm just like piddling and then I didn't finish stuff. And so it's
Oh,
like a great night, but
yeah.
like a confusing kind of not organized morning. So, I'm so glad that I'm here. I did ground, but even when I went outside and I grounded, there's snow, so I couldn't go on the grass. So I stood on the cement and just stared at the snow and wiggled my feet. So I think maybe I just haven't had the morning that I usually do with just walking around and
Yes, I
having
get
that.
that. Ever since I started working at Whole Foods, because yes, I work at Whole Foods now, I my time has been so much more intentional. Like I am getting stuff done because I have to.
Yeah.
So I find that actually very refreshing.
Yeah, we always need routine in our life,
Yeah,
right? We need to have some kind of organization because,
that's right.
as we get older, we just tend to have so much more of that empty space. And if we don't fill it with a proper routine, you can be all over the place, right? Like when you weren't working at Whole Foods, you weren't able to be so efficient, I'm
Nope.
sure.
Isn't that funny? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's so true. And I've discovered some things about working there too that and surprise, I'm going to be talking about manifesting today. And that
Oh,
I know, isn't that exciting?
I am. Yes.
And some things that I noticed that I am consciously and intentionally doing to move into that person I want to be. Like I want to shop at Whole Foods all the time. Like I want that to be my grocery store of choice, right? So working there kind of brings me into that vibe. I get a 20% discount, which is nice. So exclusively, we just shop at Whole Foods now because I'm there. I get a discount. I bring groceries home. So it's I think the whole thing of manifesting sometimes is not completely understood. So I want to talk about what that looks like today.
I think that's so exciting. For those of you who are just starting to listen with us or know, what Kate and I have started doing as a format is she surprises me with a topic and I surprise her depending on the day. And so I didn't know she was going to talk about manifesting. And so I'm so excited because I love to manifest. I look on YouTube about it. I listen to
Yeah.
your post. I mean, I just love manifesting and the ways to do it. So I'm going to give the microphone to you.
Oh, that's exciting. I was actually reading an article this morning on medium.com about eh, manifesting, but like quantum theory. And I'm not going to get into that because it's pretty deep. And I had my husband read it and he's like, what? He's like, this just doesn't make sense. I'm like, it's actually science. It does. I get that it doesn't necessarily make sense. You have to read it a couple times and understand it to wrap your head around it. So I'm not going to go that deep today, but I did want to talk about manifesting because when I first heard this word about 2 years ago, it's, what I was taught from my mentors at the time, what it meant and how you did it looks completely different today than it did 2 years ago.
Oh, interesting. So how did it look 2 years ago and how does it look today?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked me that
Yeah,
question. So, do you have a vision board?
I do have a vision board and I made it about, the last one I made was about 6 months ago. And I love it so much just looking at it and, thinking about all the things that I want to do in the future that I'm working towards.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, I made a vision board and put all this cool stuff on it. And then COVID hit, right? We entered a pandemic. So none of it, a lot of it was traveling. So none of it could happen. But what I feel like, and my mentors at the time, they've grown in the past 2 years too. So probably they would teach things a little bit differently now. But I was told, oh, everybody, you got to make a vision board. You have to be able to see every day what you want. And I get that. I get that part of visualization, but just looking at something doesn't attract what you want. And I felt like at the time, there was just this, hey, make a vision board, like just be able to look at your goals and what you want, and that will help you manifest them. No action required per se. At least they didn't tell me action was required. So just an incomplete picture of what it looks like to manifest, and actually what are the steps to manifesting. So I'm going to talk about the steps, but I do want to say these are just steps for reference. It might look completely different to you. I think the important thing that we're going to talk about here today is, our intentions and then our actions.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said that, you look at your vision board and there was no action, because that's what I always thought also. You just, look at your vision board and poof, it's going to happen because
Yeah.
you've been looking at it every day, right? Or
Yeah.
you put water in one glass for another glass and you say something and all of a sudden this magical thing is going to happen,
Yes.
right? And I
Yeah.
did that for so long and nothing happened, right?
Yes.
And then I was so disappointed for a while. I was like, this doesn't work. All these people who are saying stuff are just a gimmick. And then, I read somewhere, or maybe I just started working towards it and being like, why am I looking at it? I need to do it. And that's where my action came.
And
Because you have
that's,
to work
yes.
on it every day.
You have to work on it every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
you absolutely have to work on it every day. And that doesn't mean you're gonna, if you miss a day, things will go sideways. And there are different actions you can take every day, right? So just carrying the intention from day to day today is an action in itself. So I have like 3 specific kind of action steps or things to do when we talk about manifesting. So I know this is a big one for you because you are all about like building habits and things,
Yeah.
and working toward your goals and your dreams, right? So that's number one. What are your goals and what are your dreams? What do you want to achieve? Could be short term, could be long term, could be both. But really kind of diving in to what you want your life to look like moving forward. Um, what I think we get caught up in, and has this ever happened to you, Uzma, that you're like, okay, I'm going to write down my goals, my dreams. This is what I would love to see happen in my life. But then we get our brain starts taking over and we're like, well, what if I don't want that? You know,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
you ever
100%.
ever felt that? Like, okay, I think I want this, but I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes. And don't you have to be specific?
Well, you should be specific. And I think the point is we get caught up though in, yeah, you should, as specific and detailed as you can be, the better. But also don't get caught up in the fact that in 6 months you might want something completely different, right? When we're taking these steps towards our dreams and goals, even if they change over time, there's this thing that happens in this whole world of us being connected and the universe supporting us, that the universe knows better what we need and what we want than we do. So by just taking the step of, okay, I'm acknowledging that I want a better life, I want these things for myself, is doing just that, acknowledging I want a better life, I want better things, I want this, I want that. So the universe can start arranging for that to happen. It will probably look completely different than what you think it should. And that's okay, right? You might get something better than what you could ever have dreamed of. So not getting caught up in, okay, well, today I want this, but what if tomorrow it changes? That's okay. You're allowed to change it.
So you're saying like adjust and tweak,
Yes,
right? And just don't have like a straight line. You know, as you're going, if stuff changes, it's okay. Just go with the flow, tweak it, change it, because
that's
you
right.
will get to that place. But I think that's a great lesson because that's what we tell our kids also, right? We tell everybody, if it's not going your way, just go this way, just go this way, just keep on going forward.
Yes,
Because a lot of times when we have this vision in our head, doesn't work, we stop and we're like, oh, it didn't work, we failed. I'll try another thing. I'll go to the next sparkly thing rather
that's,
than, right? We should go
yep.
to the straight line and just keep on fixing it.
Right. Well, we think we're going in a straight line, but we take a lot of these detours and
Yeah.
curves, and that's fine. But what you said, I wanted to pick up on a little bit, and that is if things don't turn out the way we think they should, yeah, we give up. We're like, it's not working. And the one thing that I have realized in my entire life, things start falling apart big time before you get the thing you want.
Yes. I love that. Like I had,
Do you notice that?
I noticed that like in my life coach course that I took when I was in Dubai, our coach said, he said, you know what, if stuff is going wrong and not working, that means that it's going amazing.
That's right.
Because it's like grass, it's like soil. He said that when the soil is dry, you have to turn it, and that's when the flowers bloom. So
That's
anytime
right.
something bad happens, you don't feel sad or scared, you get excited because that's when the transformation occurs.
Yes, I'm going through a lot of this stuff in my life right now, and I see these patterns coming up. And the one thing I can say is, in the past, when something very like upsetting would happen, I would let it just take my life over.
Yeah.
Right. I would just wallow in this, just woe is me. And oh my God, why is my life doing this? But I know now that this is the most pivotal time, right? When things look like they're going sideways, that is the time to really kind of buckle down and say, God, universe, I trust that you're just aligning everything for the greatest good. The best outcome will happen. It might not look like what I want it to look like, but the best outcome will happen. Because when we just worry about it, right? We're all energy, everything's energy, and we attract what we put out there. So if you just worry about it, more worry will come to you.
I love that you said that. You know, that just because
Yeah.
don't you think that when you have that mindset that all this turmoil is actually good, when all this stuff happens, you don't get like that anxiety or that anger. You're just calm. You're like, nothing's working out. It's okay. I can handle this.
Let it go.
Yes, let it go. You're all that tension and that toxicness that you feel isn't in your body anymore because
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, it's not working out. It's fine. Do you feel
Yep.
that way, like more calmer?
I do. Like yeah, I feel really calm. I'm sleeping just fine.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that like I would not sleep well. I would stop eating. Like, I say all the time, if you look at pictures of me from years ago, like specifically, I was looking at pictures of my 40th birthday, and I was painfully thin because we were going through some really like difficult times. And that doesn't happen anymore. I'm just like, whatever. I trust the universe. It has always provided me what I needed exactly when I need it. And so paying attention to those times that you were like, shit, things looked really kind of sketchy for a while. And
Yeah.
then things turned out fine, right? Noticing those patterns and those things that do happen will do give us hope, right, for the
Exactly. Yeah.
future.
And I'm so surprised you said that because I think you are the coolest chick. I don't think anything phases you. You're so laid
Oh,
back. Like if I say I'm late, you're like, no big deal. Or if I'm like, oh, I can't, you're like, no big deal. We can get it done. You are so laid back and so easy that I cannot even imagine you having any of that tension or that pressure.
and I don't have it much anymore, but I used to, and I'm always good at hiding it, right? We hide things all the time. We don't want that's a shadow side. We don't want people to see that we are in turmoil.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it does come out. and I
Yeah.
have never seen it come out. You've
Yeah.
always been a cool cat to me.
Well, perfect. Well, let's move
Awesome.
on to
Let's
number
know. Number
two,
two,
because this is
exactly.
my favorite.
Number two.
And it's kind of a two steps to this, but your intentions, right? So, journaling about what you want, and keeping it top of mind, being mindful about it, going back, reading it. But that's an intention that you set that you can carry every single day. And look, tomorrow, if you don't get to like sit in your silence and your meditation, do your journaling, whatever you do, you still have that intention to just acknowledge, hey, this is a goal I have. And I still have every intention of making that happen. And then part two of this is the surrender, right? Surrender the outcome. And by surrendering the outcome, that doesn't mean do nothing, right? And we'll talk about what to do in step three. But what it really means is I'm going to surrender what this is going to look like. I 100% believe that I'm going to get what I want, right? But I need to surrender what that looks like, how getting there might look,
Yes.
and what the end result might actually look like as well. So that surrender, because we can't possibly know.
Yeah, surrendering has been the hardest for me.
Yeah.
And I would love you to do an episode on that and teach me about, and everybody else about surrendering, because it's just so hard to let go and forget. Like I can let go,
Yeah.
but to forget, that's where my surrender is hard.
Yeah, I don't know that you necessarily have to forget. You can still be mindful of what you surrendered to, but just don't get caught up in how it's going to unfold. Don't get caught up in, oh, well, part of the path that I think needs to happen for me to achieve this is X. And when X doesn't happen, or X happens, but in a way that doesn't look right to you, that's what you have to surrender.
Okay. Yeah, it's really hard to just let go, because whatever I do, I work so hard and think about so passionately
Yeah.
that to surrender, it's really hard. And
Yeah.
coming back to the intention, I was
Yep.
never an intentional person. I'd just be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and stuff would be all over the place.
Yes.
Once I really sat down and said, this is my intention for the day, or this is what I want to do, then everything started to line up, because then my mind was focused on that intention the entire day. Isn't it kind of like an affirmation?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It is. Yeah. And affirmations, I'm doing this whole thing reading about the science of woo, and affirmations actually change the physiological makeup in a part of your brain. Like this, all this stuff that we preach about, we talk about, we do, there's real science back behind it. So I think that's really super cool as well. But yeah, so an intention is an affirmation. One of my intentions, do you have an intention that you set almost every day?
I do. But I actually call it an affirmation. Before I get out of bed, I say it. This is what I'm going to do for my day or for myself. Is that the same thing, kind of?
Yeah, no, like yes, absolutely. But I always have an intention that I set, that like the same one every single day.
Okay, so give me an example.
So like every single day I will, when I'm meditating, one of my intentions is I offer up to spirit, universe, whatever, to show me the magic in my day.
Okay. That's awesome. And so
Yeah.
what magic have you seen? Like, what do you call magic?
Magic. The 4 white snow geese I saw on the golf course yesterday, right? Like when I'm going through uncertain times, I was I was walking last week, and I posted this in my group for my paid program, that I was having a very uncertain day and walking around, and I asked I asked for magic that day. Like, what magic does spirit have to show me today? And I'm almost home, and all of a sudden I look up and there's a hawk like really high above me, just circling around me, right?
Awesome.
To me, that's magic. And, to me, the meaning of a hawk is, especially one flying that high above me, is to look at things from a much higher perspective.
Okay. Awesome. So signs. That's
Signs.
what you
Yes.
signs. Okay. So your magic
Yes.
is like signs.
Magic is signs that I see. Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you find magic in your day like that?
You know what? I don't think that I have ever thought of that. You know,
Yeah.
like, and I'm gonna start doing that because like I go through my day and I say it's gonna be an amazing day, or today I'm gonna, do this or that. But I never think about signs. If something happens, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a fluke. But I'm not very intentional or very sharp on looking at signs because I've never thought about it. But I'm gonna try it
Ah,
this week.
yeah.
I'm gonna try and
Yeah.
become more aware.
Yeah.
I think I should become more aware. My awareness is not there for the signs. I'm more of a feeling person. Like we've talked about how I can feel things and know things.
Yes.
So for me, instead of seeing a sign, I will feel things.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense too. That's magic.
Yeah. So that's my magic feeling.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 3. Ready?
Number 3.
So the third part in manifesting, and I talked about this at the beginning, like me working at Whole Foods, like I want to be able to shop at this like, high-end grocery store all the time. So act as if, like, what does the person that has all the things and is living the life that you want, what does she look like? Right? What is she wearing? What does she do every day? What does she read? What does she listen to? And start doing those things, getting in the energy of that person you want to be. And one of the biggest things, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due, is Denise Duffield Thomas, who wrote Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. The one thing she says, and there's another book I'm reading too, this is one of the biggest things that you can do when you're manifesting, and that is decluttering, right? That is,
Yes.
and that could be your basement, that could be your pantry, that could be your mind, that could be like, I decluttered all the Facebook groups I was in, right? I probably had 40 or 50 groups that people are like, oh, you should join my group, and shiny object that,
Yeah.
before, which I don't have that anymore, thank God. I would get in these groups with every intention of being active, but I never was. So I was not doing either one of us any good. It wasn't like, oh, this group sucks, I'm getting out of it. It was not that kind of energy at all. It was just like, I'm not using this. So I'm going to get it out of my life, because everything that we subscribe to, we have an energetic attachment to it. Right. So getting rid of the things that don't serve us, that we just aren't completely and utterly in love with, let it go.
Yeah, exactly. So by decluttering, besides social media, you mean like maybe your closets or your home or a space or something, right?
Yeah. Or the bad thoughts in your mind.
The bad thoughts in your mind.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Whatever it is.
And I also believe in, what you were talking about, getting into that mindset and getting into that person and trying to be that person. Visualization.
Big.
That
Yes.
that
Big.
is something that before I go to bed, when I get in the morning, whenever I feel like uneasy and I'm not aligned with myself, I sit quietly and I visualize. Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? Who am I with? What am I wearing? How's the weather? I mean, I get so specific.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I feel this calmness because I know what I want. And all that, chaos in my head or that clutter that's there slowly disappears because I start aligning myself with the visualization.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I have a hard time visualizing because I'm just not like, I don't see pictures and things in my head like a lot of people do. I don't have that, what is that, clairvoyancy that some people uh have. But it doesn't mean you can't visualize, right? You can still in your mind think, oh, like I was doing a visualization with a friend yesterday. It is so fun to have like woo friends that want to
Yeah.
practice shit on you. So I was doing a visualization with a friend yesterday, and not clearly being able to see me, but I'm like, wait a minute, I have this very fine Italian wool sweater on. Like I can, I know the outfit I'm wearing. I can sense like the things that are on the wall in my office and things like that. So just because you can't see that clearly doesn't mean you can't visualize, right? Your mind will believe anything you tell it,
Exactly.
right? Whether you're seeing it or you're just telling it, mind, this is what future me looks like.
Exactly. And I think that, if you can't visualize it, do the best that you can, but you can also kind of put it down on paper. If you're
That's,
better at writing it,
yep,
then just write down your visualization. Because some people, like you said, cannot visualize it, but maybe you can write down every detail. And that's
exactly.
also manifesting the future too. So I want to ask you a question
Yeah.
before you go on. There are a lot of people who are probably listening who are like, I'd love to manifest. These 3 tips are so amazing. Can you give an example of how people should start or how they should manifest? What do you do? Do you sit in a closet? Do you write it down? Or is it when you're walking? Or
I
what do you say? I mean, how do you do it? For somebody who wants to do, like, say, today is the day I'm going to start
I'm
manifesting.
going to start today. That's so funny. I love how you talk about me sit in my closet because I do my meditation
I
space
know you
is
do.
in my closet.
Yeah.
I've got my incense in there. I've got my crystals. I've got all my meditation cushion and my little pit bull. Like he will, if I'm in there and he hasn't come in, he will open the door and come in and sit right beside me. It's just so funny. What should you start doing? Write it down. That's if you want to start manifesting, what I would 100% recommend that you do. Write it down. Just start writing it down. Let it flow. Don't let your mind take over too much, right? Just whatever comes to you, just start writing it. You'd be surprised what comes out, when you just start putting pen to paper.
Right.
If you do feel that all of a sudden you are having like negative thoughts about it, or you can't achieve that, what I would tell you to do is tell your brain to F off, because that's what's going on, right? Your ego is getting in the way of, oh, there's no way you can attain that. Your goals are stupid, whatever. That's your ego stepping in. So just recognize that, understand it, say, hey, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
but I don't want your input, and put it to the side and get back to speaking from your heart, what you
Right.
really want.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's a perfect way to start.
Yeah. What have you manifested? Like I realize now, before I even knew about manifesting, some things that I manifested, that I didn't realize I did until I really sat and thought back about what I'd manifested.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to think about that too. You know what I mean? I think that I manifested, serving more moms, serving more women. I've always wanted to do that, but I haven't known how to. And I
Right.
actually think like this podcast or my courses,
Hmm.
that has actually what it's evolved into,
Yeah.
spreading the word and, being able to serve and having more people know about me.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Right?
that's me. Have you done a year in review yet for last year?
No.
I just did that the other day and I was shocked by what I had achieved.
Yeah.
I mean, just
When
shocked.
Yeah. When I look at my notes and everything, I'm like, what? I said this, I did this. Because when I sign up for my like health coaching or life coaching or yoga certifications, it was all working towards this,
Yes.
right? Because when I first signed up, I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it because I wanted to start helping moms. And so from one course to the next course to Facebook to meeting people to courses to podcasts to having coaches, all of that
Mhm.
slowly has evolved into my manifestation, I guess.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
because I
Absolutely.
worked towards it. I thought I wanted to help moms. Then I took all these steps to help moms.
Yes.
And now I'm doing it.
Right. But it probably doesn't look like what you thought it would look like.
No, I
Yeah.
thought I would just go to A to here and it'd be so easy. I didn't realize all the lives I had to do, all the yoga classes I had to do, all the connections I had to do, all the coaches I had to, all of that. So
Yes.
all those little steps
Yeah. Yeah.
came into this. And I've got bigger desires and bigger hopes. And I think that, okay, now that I've done this, I'll be able to go on
Yeah.
further. So
And
now my visualizations are even bigger
they're
and
even
more.
bigger.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that there's two things about manifesting, right? One thing we get caught up in is yeah, sometimes it's very small steps. Sometimes it's a big leap, right? A quantum. That's where the whole quantum thing would come in. But they're very small steps. And so we don't recognize that we're making progress because they are so small. And we don't congratulate ourselves. We don't celebrate even these small steps because sometimes we're just not paying attention to them, or we think they're insignificant because they are so small.
Yeah. Well, when I started out all of this, my kids had left for college. I lived in Dubai, the UAE,
Yeah.
and I thought that that's where I was going to do the yoga, the health coaching, because
Yeah.
they're really big on that. And a lot of moms are housewives and they join all these courses. So I was like, I'm going to do this because this is great in this time. And I thought I was going to be there. Little did I know I was going to move back to the States to a small town where everything would be online, because in my mind, my vision was I was going to do it in person and whole courses and,
Oh, right.
do
Yeah.
this, weekly, have people come to my office or my home and do all this big, great stuff. And then I came here and it was a small town and I didn't know anyone because I wasn't back in my hometown where I knew everyone.
Yeah.
So I had to start reinventing myself and tweaking and adjusting, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and then it was like everything was online, and I'm not tech savvy. You know what?
You are now.
I am the most
I know you are.
savviest
You're
tech
better than I
person.
am.
And I had no clue how to do it. I was like the person was like, oh, the remote isn't working. Call my kid from their bedroom. Turn on the TV. Oh, this isn't working. Can you please turn this on?
Yeah, where's the 17-year-old? I need tech help.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. Well, that brings up the other point I wanted to just touch on in manifesting is so when we are taking the steps forward to to realize our dreams, whatever, doors can start opening. That's part of decluttering, right? Get rid of stuff that doesn't serve you to make space for new things to come in. So doors will start opening, and then all of a sudden you walk through a door to a different manifestation, right? To something new, and maybe that you never even thought of.
Yes.
And that's where that change can happen as well, right? We're charting this path, but you have to be open to other things showing up for you.
I love that. Yes, you have to be open. You have to just let go and
Yeah.
move forward. I love that, But what, okay, so let me ask you
It's
another
all
question,
about
Kate.
flow. Yeah.
Exactly. What if you can't do that? What if you've tried to, manifest or open up that door or just let go and you can't do it? What is one tip that you can give people to be like, okay, this is what I need to practice daily to be able to open up that door and
Keep
let go?
going. You got to
Okay.
keep going.
Okay.
You can't give up. You got to keep focusing on that goal, that dream that you want, and you just have to keep going. And um, I mean, that's really all there is to it. Keep going, but also, paying attention to those things that come up for you, right? Intuition is big when you're manifesting, because that's where you get the messages in your body, not really your mind, about the next step you need to take. You get a feeling that, oh, I need to call this person. Um, like this woman I've been friends with for a long time just reached out to me the other day. She's like, we seem really aligned. Like we should jump on a call, and we like haven't been able to connect, but we are on Thursday, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about or whatever, but she reached out to me. I said, yeah, we do seem aligned. So we're going to have a chat and we'll see where it goes. And so that's what it's all about too, taking those actions, even if they seem so insignificant. Like and here's the cool thing about magic, right? So you have this conversation with somebody and you don't really think much of it, but there could have been a sentence, a word, anything in that conversation to help propel you forward, or as an affirmation that you are doing the right things, right? Like it might just be a little phrase that just reminds you of that goal that you're trying to achieve. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
That makes so sense. And that's like just happened to me just now, where you talked about magic and seeing things and being aware. All of a sudden, I'm like, that's my missing piece.
Yeah.
That's what I haven't been doing. That's why I'm not
Let's
seeing
do
the
a
magic.
podcast on magic.
Yeah, because I haven't been observant the way you have.
Yes.
So, like you said, that you talk to that person and you find that missing piece. In this conversation, randomly, I'm like, in the back of my head, as we're talking, I'm like, I have to be more observant. I have to be more aware.
Got to look for the
So, thank
magic.
you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. This is so fun. I
This is
always
so
love talking
fun.
to you. Like, even if I'm having a down day, podcasting with Uzma is one of my joys.
Yeah, this is so much fun. So those of you who are listening, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Kate and I really, really appreciate it.
We do.
Yes, we have done over 5 episodes, so you can check on our link and listen to all of them, because each one is better than the next. We're getting really good at this.
We are getting really good. You know
Yeah.
what? It's the chemistry. We have good
Yeah.
chemistry together, and it's hard sometimes to find that with people.
Exactly. And if it wasn't a podcast, we'd be talking about this for hours, because I want to know about Quantum Leap. I want to know more about
I
surrendering. I
know.
want to know about woo. I want to just keep on knowing. So let's
I'm
just keep these as episodes.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to my husband this morning and he's looking at football stuff and I'm like looking at quantum theory and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got a class I'm teaching this afternoon. I got to talk about quantum theory." So
Exactly.
anyway.
So tell everybody about your classes that you conduct.
Oh, so I run a program. It's called Inner Alchemy, and we're starting again in the middle of February. And it really is. I show women the pathway similar to what you do, but just in a different way. I show women a pathway to overcoming your fears and actually understanding your fears and where they come from. Because once we can get to the source of why they're coming up, it's so much easier to acknowledge them and be like, "Oh, okay, I know that's just fear coming up. That's my ego talking. I know how to tell it to go away. I can overcome this." Boundaries. I never know about boundaries.
Yes.
Self-love starts with boundaries, right? You've got to have those
Exactly.
boundaries. What else do we talk about? We do talk about a lot of magic and just how connected we are in this universe all around us. This universal, I believe the universal God is really all of us collectively together. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check out.
Yeah, we'll post a link below.
Perfect.
So if anybody wants to join or contact you, they can find it at the bottom of the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We should post your link too. I know you have a program starting soon too.
Yes, Empty Nester Moms Unleashed. And I have my signature yoga
yeah.
program in there. And we do 3 months, 90 days.
I do
every
8 weeks.
day of everyday accountability. And we also have a weekly group talk, and we get also through boundaries, through intentions,
Yeah.
through becoming a better person, and also accepting yourself and being able to live that life after your kids leave, because that is so important. We always
Very
say we're
much.
not a mom anymore. We forget, but you become a better mom and you still stay connected by your daily taking care of yourself. So my course is mainly
Absolutely.
taking care of yourself, your health, your focusing, your intentions, and really getting you to the place where you feel confident in you.
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar
Yeah.
programs, different approaches. So, okay.
Exactly.
Let's jump
Okay.
because we got
Yeah.
we got worlds
Gotta go.
to
It was so great
see.
talking to you. Yes.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.